All right, I think we are live with our IUI Global webinar this morning. Um, well, it's morning in Indianapolis, probably all different time zones for those joining. It doesn't look like we've got anybody on here yet, so I think we might just give it a minute and see if people pop on, and then we will go ahead and get started. So maybe before we hop into the main part of the presentation, I'll just go ahead and go over a couple of quick housekeeping notes. So this presentation is going to be, we are currently live in StreamYard, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. But you will also be able to watch the recording. So if you weren't able to join live, perhaps you're watching the recording after the fact, also totally fine. We're really happy to have everybody joining live or watching after the fact. The agenda for the webinar today is going to be, like I said, a little bit of a quick introduction here. Then I'm going to turn the presentation over to Professor Mark Urtel, who is going to do a presentation about kinesiology, which I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about. We're really glad to have him here. There is a live chat where we will be monitoring the chat throughout the webinar. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask Mark about kinesiology, about any of the topics that he covers in his presentation, any questions that you might have about IU Indianapolis, feel free to type those into the chat, and we will have a Q&A portion after Mark's presentation. So we'll be able to answer your questions live on the air then. I will also just mention we will provide certificates of attendance to everybody who views the full webinar, either live or if you watch the recording, you also are eligible to receive that certificate. Watch for that to come in your email in a couple of days. I am currently traveling, so it might take a couple of days for me to get those sent out, but those will be coming to whichever email you use to register for this webinar. All right, so I think we will go ahead. If you're okay, Mark, I would like to go ahead and introduce Professor Mark Urtel. I'll let him do a little more of a deeper introduction maybe to himself, but we're really glad to have you here, Mark, talking about your field of expertise, kinesiology, and introducing students maybe to more information about the programs that we offer and also what kinds of careers and things they might be able to go into if they're interested in studying kinesiology. So with that, I will kind of turn it over to you. I'll go ahead and put your slides up here and you can take it away.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kelly. Hey, everybody. On behalf of the Department of Kinesiology here at Indiana University, Indianapolis, welcome. We're excited you're here. We always love to share our story. I currently am the chairperson of the Department of Kinesiology. And again, that is just somebody that is an administrator that focuses on the managing and the maintenance of the department from a lot of different realms, whether it's curricular, facility, finance. This being stated, whenever I get a chance to talk about kinesiology to prospective parents or families or some type of stakeholder, I like to kind of just set aside a couple minutes to talk through what we'd like to do. One, I want to talk about kinesiology. It's a clumsy term. A lot of times that things get lost in translation when we try to express what we do to various individuals. So I'd like to clarify that. I'd like to also talk about our department in particular. I think we deliver kinesiology at the undergraduate, master's, and PhD level in really effective and unique ways. Talk about career pathways. You know, if you do get a degree in kinesiology, exactly what does that mean and what can you potentially do? And then if any of those things don't address what some of you are pondering or considering, we certainly are going to dedicate some times for question and discussion. So just make note of what you'd like to learn more about or discuss differently or more in depth, and that would be great. First of all, let's remove any doubt. When we talk about kinesiology, it is the science and study of human movement. Now, that seems simple in and of itself, and I know there are different translations internationally from this term, but it really is the science and study of human movement. And when you think about human movement in our world, we express that movement by absolutely playing sports, but that's not it totally. It's by just being physically active, but that's not it totally. It's by exercising and even play. And there's other derivatives or interplay of words on that, but that's really what it is. So, yes, there's a recreational component to it, there's a lifestyle component to it, there's a competitive component to it, but it's the science of it. Now, what does that science mean? Well, that means there's sub-disciplines because a lot of things go into it. Exercise physiology tends to be one of the more popular or well-known sub-disciplines. And again, it's how the body adapts physiologically to exercise. What do um, training principles and engagements by the individual, how do they benefit themselves? There's biomechanics, literally how the muscles and bones, how they move and utilize, and the types of forces that are generated or applied. There's sports psychology, and I think all of us know this if we think about physical activity and exercise. There's a motivational element to it, so that reveals that motor development is across the lifespan, how our body develops motorically, again, from infancy through older age, however you want to define that. Motor control, how we can signal movements from the brain to the stimuli for the muscle. And then and these are typically so far all the above, and sports psychology included, have an experimental element to it, right? An experimental science element to it. But we also involve sport history, sport sociology. So even a little bit more the behavioral science elements come into play. And this is a partial list. We didn't even put strength and conditioning, adapted physical education and activity. So there's many sub-disciplines taken together that define kinesiology. So hopefully that may give some clarity to the general overall field that we are in. And we have specialists across the board in all of this. We certainly are collaborative and interdisciplinary, but we certainly focus on this. Now, in our example, how do we here in the Department of Kinesiology at Indiana University, Indianapolis, how do we deliver it? Well, the first thing we'd like to be clear with is it's a very active discipline. It's not just lecture based, didactic, sitting in a classroom. You have to be engaged. And in our industry, in the United States at least, there are what are known as high impact practices. And these are things that you can afford the students to engage in that supplement true learning. And what we do is we have a lot of labs that are associated with our classes. We have collaborations with community partners. We do undergraduate research. We utilize e-portfolios. We do group projects. We have study abroad opportunities that come up. So the first thing I want you to know about is you will be engaged early and often in our curriculum in an active way. It's just not learning about it. The second thing that I think I'd like to talk a little bit about are the facilities. It's key. We built literally some of our facilities with active learning in mind. We have multiple labs. We have classrooms that can be reconfigured. We have an exercise physiology lab, a biomechanics lab, a musculoskeletal lab, a fitness and dance studio, strength and conditioning lab. So we want students to get up, get engaged, work with faculty and their peers in ways that really promote learning, understanding, and affects positively the student experience while they're here. So we're really excited about that. The second thing I would like to mention is our faculty. We have a faculty of 23 full-time faculty, a pool of about 37 adjunct or associate faculty, and 14 or 15 graduate student teaching assistants. We all come with industry experience. We all come with either research as the area of expertise, teaching, or service across those sub-disciplines that were mentioned earlier and prior. So when we consider when you come to us, and right now you're looking at one of the pictures of one of our faculty members, she's in the center. She's an expert in dance, e-portfolios, adult fitness, but we have multiple programs that allow students to work directly with faculty, whether it's in programming for the community, it's undergraduate research. This picture you're looking at here is our leadership development camp. A lot of people don't know this. Again, our campus is in the heart of Indianapolis, the heart of Indiana. We actually own property that's been in the IU family since 1940 in Wisconsin. So we have a leadership and teamwork development camp up at what's known as Camp Brocious. And our students go through that program, again, to gain those leadership and teamwork skills and abilities in a residential setting. So again, it's a unique, high impact practice that we are absolutely proud of as part of our curriculum. Now, what I would like to point out is if you get interest in our program, we do, as I mentioned this earlier, I alluded to this, we have programming from the undergraduate through the PhD level. So at the undergraduate level, we have 3 tracks, 3 programs, 3 majors within kinesiology. One is exercise science. This is a clinical focused undergraduate degree track that has as its main outcome preparing students for professional and graduate programs. So if you wanted to be if you had interest in becoming a physical therapist, occupational therapist, physician assistant, chiropractor, podiatrist, we have some students that have even gone on to medical school. That's going to be the track that one would take. We achieve all the prerequisites for those graduate and professional programs in that curriculum. Now, if you don't want that, we have a program we have other majors that can be used as what are known as terminal degrees. You don't have to go on. You can enter the workforce right after that. One, and I put an asterisk next to this, it's our applied fitness and sports performance. The asterisk is because there's a name change that's going on with that. So I wanted to put that up there just to be evident and clear. It's in the midst of a name change. We're evolving into that. This is for individuals that want to go right away into industry. They want to work. You are prepared right away to take this degree and get in some area. And we're going to talk about the pathways in a second as we talk about that. And then our third program, and we are proud of this here at Indiana University in Indianapolis, we have the oldest physical education teacher preparation program in the country. It was birthed from, there's history to it. The Normal College of the American Gymnastics Union started in Milwaukee, came down to the Athenaeum here in Indianapolis, and IU absorbed and merged with this program, and it is the largest one. So we also have a program that gets individuals certified to teach at the P through 12 level, and again, that's going to be a pathway that we're going to talk about. I say that to you because we're just not a narrow sub-discipline. We actually have a really nice wide range. And some students start in one track and then they go to the other. And they start in one or go to the other just because they learn, their interests change. They get different experiences. They find out what their passion is. So I wanted to be evident with what we do at the undergraduate level. At the master's degree, um, we have a master's in kinesiology and we have a PhD in exercise science. So the master's degree in kinesiology are for individuals that are probably currently in an industry, they're working, and they want to add something to what they are currently doing for an advancement in their career. The PhD in exercise science is clinical. This one will prepare individuals usually for 2 tracks, one to become a faculty member in a department of kinesiology when they get done, or as a prime researcher in some way, shape, or form in an institute or whatever the case is, because there's a clinical element to it. So again, we have programming at the undergraduate, whatever your interest is, at the master's degree, and at the PhD level. Now, some of the pathways. When we think about the applied fitness and sports performance, you graduate that degree, you are camera ready to enter an industry. We have some that go into community fitness, into the club industry. Some become health and wellness coaches. Others work in hospital clinics, or they're a fitness and wellness specialist in a corporate setting. It's really a nice wide ranging curricular track that prepares you for many settings. They also we built this pathway or this curriculum to meet what are known as national governing organization standards. So you can be certified, whether that's the American College of Sports Medicine, the ACSM, or the NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association. You are ready to sit for those exams. You could be a strength and conditioning coach. You could go again, work in a fitness and club industry. Some people even start their own business. They create their own fitness business. It's either a contracted out or out of the home, or they buy a building or rent space from that. So it allows you a nice wide variety of getting right into the industry. The pathways for the teaching, you can teach. And in the United States, the nomenclature is P through 12. That's that pre-K through 12th grade. And I know that the terminology changes in different locales, but it gives you a certification, a teaching license, not just a degree, but a teaching license to be eligible to teach at the P through 12 level. And the way we also build it, I know this was not evident at the beginning, but I would like to mention it. We produce graduates that are all grade dual licensed. All grade, they can teach at the P through 12 because some programs only focus on middle grades, high school, or elementary. We allow you to be certified for all. And dual it's actually in health and physical education. So you get degreed for both, and that makes you a little bit more attractive on the job market, for lack of a better phrase, or when you want to kind of navigate that aspect of it. And obviously, when you think, and we already addressed this, when you think about the exercise science path, those are individuals that have a passion and inclination and motivation to utilize this undergraduate Bachelor of Science degree and translate it to a graduate program or a professional program. In the United States, a graduate program, you could get a master's or PhD in biomechanics, those subdisciplines, biomechanics, exercise physiology, motor control, whatever you want to. Professional programs are those accredited physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training. We actually have alignment with some uh, programs that you graduate from our program at the master's level for athletic training. You've already hit all the prerequisites. You'd be eligible for admission into that program, obviously along with other admission criteria. So the physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training. And again, as I mentioned, others, we have some students that have gone on to medical school, others that have gone on to chiropractic school, podiatry, some within even nursing. They have maybe a slight career pivot. So that's going to be that science heavy curriculum that kind of allows preparations for that. And then let's see, the graduate professional school. Yeah, that's it. Also, individuals can go right into the workforce with the exercise science degree. I want to be clear. I think maybe I focused on this, but people can go right into industry. Cardiac rehab, they might go into because we were one of the unique programs that we have an EKG class, reading class. So you become adept at those technical, clinical, uh, uh, cardiac involved skills as it relates to our curriculum. So you absolutely can translate the exercise science degree into an occupation. The good news, it also prepares you for the graduate professional school admission right away. So as you folks are pondering kinesiology, the Department of Kinesiology at Indiana University, Indianapolis, I hope that you would have some questions. As I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but I think pretty good. What I would like to end with, or as we're summarizing, again, here are some pictures. I think pictures are worth 1,000 words. One of them in our part of our leadership development class, we have a high ropes course, initiatives and challenges, adventure education. That really brings out a lot of that teamwork, communication, trust, leading. Another picture of our camp up on the upper right. And then one thing I was not evident with, and I should be, so let me be clear with it now. When we focus on kinesiology, we go across the age spectrum, but also ability levels. So we focus on individuals that might be preparing for sport, or the typical individual that's just aging through life, and then maybe students or adults with disability. So we have specialists in all these areas, and we provide lab experiences, the didactic content area, and other high impact practices. So as you're pondering this and you'd like to learn more, I would love to hear some questions that you might have, or discussion points you'd like to develop further. And I certainly am open to take those now, or I can certainly be contacted at a later date on our email. So Kelly, as we are looking at this, do you have any questions or thoughts for me, or things that I should address?
Yeah, I haven't seen any questions come in on the chat just yet. But I was kind of
Okay.
wondering if you wouldn't mind, Mark, are there minors or
Oh,
like majors that are
yes.
very popular that students tend to gravitate towards in at IU Indianapolis in your experience?
Yeah, we actually, and that's a great question. Thank you for that. We actually have a dance minor. And I know that might seem maybe, but it doesn't fit in. We have a really strong and robust dance element. So we do have a dance minor. We have a wellness, health and wellness coaching minor. We have in the past had adapted physical activity minor that had been dormant for a little bit, but we can certainly rebirth that. Strength and conditioning, excuse me, we do have that. We have a certificate. Oh, and then we have a coaching minor, like individuals that just want to coach. They might want to get into either interscholastic, which would be that P through 12 environment, or at different levels, competitive youth travel. We have a coaching minor for that. We have a certificate in youth and youth wellness certificate for those that maybe want to work with youth, but maybe not as a teacher in the P through 12 setting, but maybe more in a different type of a setting. I myself also, uh, my specialty is within the youth physical activity within what's known as comprehensive school physical activity programs or in the school setting. But others work in camps. We have the summer camp, the residential camps, the day camps. So we have minors or certificates, and we are pondering some micro credentials. But at the time of this recording, nothing has been finalized at that. But we have a couple in the pipeline for that.
I think you had mentioned that some students might finish their bachelor's degree and then decide they want to start their own business related to fitness or exercise. Do you have students that also do a minor in the Kelley School of Business along with their bachelor's degree in your department?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Now, in full transparency, what I would say is we have a sister department here in our school that actually has embedded in their curriculum a certificate from the Kelley School of Business. We have not, we just didn't have the curricular space. We do invite students to take those entrepreneurial type classes that would allow them. And we have some courses that will embed a business plan that will, but we are certainly not endorsing that we are preparing them automatically for that. These are individuals that have taken a class or two in business or have prior experience in business or have worked for somebody that has owned their own business, and they've kind of learned a little bit about the way. Then they'll finish the degree, they'll stay with them, and then eventually reach out. So I would be less than authentic if I were to express that we have an entrepreneurial based training embedded on our curriculum, but we certainly foster that for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. I think it's really actually kind of unique that there are so many different kind of options and so many different career pathways for this field. I think a lot of times students think about, I'm going to study this one thing, and I kind of have maybe one or two different career options. And it seems like this is an area that students don't necessarily have to know exactly what they want to do. They can come in and, like you said, they could potentially change from one area to another. Sounds like there's enough hands-on learning that they really will get an idea of what they love, what they're interested in, and that can kind of, point them in the right direction. Do students typically do internships
Oh yeah,
in your department?
absolutely. One of the high impact practices, all of our students will do an internship, 100% of them. And in fact, on some of the tracks, they do two. One internal, but still within the university community, then everyone does the external. Student teaching for the individuals going through the physical education, teacher education track, and then internships, a semester-long internship for the other tracks. So, that's you brought up a good point. I'm pretty confident that the way we have structured it, when you graduate in our program with a degree, you're not going to be surprised of what the profession has for you. That's why we do it so early, because there are some degrees that they don't have a lot integrated, and the student gets to the end and go, well, I don't want to do this, and there's like a surprise to it. We removed doubt pretty quickly. You want to work as this, well, let's do this. You want to work, and students appreciate that. And also, to your point about the variety, even in the time that a student could be here, the 4 years, the 5 years, the 6 years. This is such a dynamic field that things change, and there could be something new that emerges that they could be thinking about. There's a couple examples clear that we have that we didn't even have this idea of a possible collaboration or an industry partnership. And then over like a 3-year span, it evolved, and now there's institutes about this, and our students have done internships with it. And they're like, I didn't even know this was an option. And I think that's the beauty of it. By offering these really wide-ranging, authentic experiences. It introduces them to, hey, I initially wanted to be a physical therapist, but boy, I've seen this, and I really want to get into that point. So that's a good point to emphasize.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Well, I think at this point, we'll probably go ahead and I'll just do a brief IU Indianapolis presentation. If people want to post comments in the chat with any comments or questions, please still feel free to do that. I think Dr. Urtel will stick around in case we have some more questions. But then I think your point was well taken, Mark. If anybody has follow-up questions after the webinar, they can always reach out either to my
Yep.
team or to you directly. If they reach out to us and there's specific questions for your department, we'll just forward those over to you to make sure people get the answers that they're looking for.
Perfect.
I'll go ahead and trade slides here and I'll
Mhm.
pop my slides up on the screen and I'll just talk really briefly about IU Indianapolis and what the application process would look like for an international student who might be interested in coming to IU Indy. So IU Indianapolis is a large public research university, and we are located in downtown Indianapolis. So, as Mark mentioned, there's a lot of great advantages for students studying at IU Indy. You are literally steps from downtown Indianapolis, so lots of fun activities to do when you're not in class or doing any of those high impact practices like restaurants and museums and shopping and all of the things that a big city offers. But also, you're right in the middle of a city that offers a lot of sports and physical activity kinds of things as well. So, for this area of study, I'm sure there are a lot of opportunities just from having all of the sports and things that we have in the city of Indianapolis. IU Indy does offer NCAA Division One athletics. Um, Dr. Urtel didn't talk specifically about athletes, but I'm guessing their athletes might tend to gravitate towards your kind of program. Somebody who's really into physical activity has dedicated a large part of their life to improving their own physical fitness and their own competitiveness in whatever sport they play, might be wanting to turn that into a career. I don't think that's necessarily a prerequisite. It's not necessary to go into this field, but in my experience, at least, a lot of people who gravitate towards exercise science, fitness management, coaching, physical education, things like that, themselves have kind of a background in athletics in some capacity. Even if you're not athletic, we have lots of other clubs and organizations that you can join on campus. So lots of exciting student life to participate in as well. This is just a testimonial from one of our students who graduated. She actually studied English and went to law school at IU Indianapolis and definitely enjoyed her time in Indianapolis. And says the best education in the USA, which we'll take that. That's a glowing recommendation from Talitha. So, like I said, we are a large university. We have students from over 100 countries as well as all across the United States. We have about 1,900 or so international students on campus right now. And we are in the top 10% in the world for delivering on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So that's something that we're really proud of as a campus. We like to toot our own horn a little bit, and something that we work on across all of the different departments and schools at IU Indy. We also, part of our location in Indianapolis means that we have some really good statistics when it comes to helping students get jobs after they graduate. So Mark talked about that process for his department. That's definitely the case for a lot of the other schools and degrees that we offer as well because of our location, because of how active our faculty are and how connected our faculty are in the various industries. Students have lots of great opportunities to get internships, to do the kinds of networking that is necessary to really be able to get a great job or to get into a graduate program or professional program after their undergraduate degree. We do offer some opportunities for international students to get financial aid that comes in the form of scholarships. So we offer merit-based scholarships for undergraduate international students at the time of admission based on your high school grades. So we don't require the SAT test, just looking at your high school grades alone. You could qualify for from $5,000 to $10,000 per year as a merit-based scholarship. And we, like I said, we award those at the time of admission. We also have an honors college at IU Indianapolis, and the honors college is intended for students who really are operating at a kind of a higher level. They're really invested in learning and really want to be an active leader on campus. The honors college does offer some additional scholarship opportunities that range from $19,000 all the way up to a full tuition scholarship. So those are definitely more competitive, but definitely achievable for international students. There are a couple of those that are set aside specifically for international students. There is a separate admission process. So once you're admitted to IU Indianapolis, then you can apply to the Honors College and apply for those scholarships. So the process to apply for an undergraduate student, you're going to submit your application online. We accept either the Common App, or you can use our own application that's available on our website. There's a $65 application fee. Then you're going to upload your high school transcripts or exam scores, depending on what kind of curriculum you're coming from, proof of English proficiency. Like I said, SAT and ACT are not required. If you have an SAT score, sometimes we can use that for your English proficiency instead of something like a TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo, which we do also accept. Once you upload everything, it'll take us a few weeks to review your application. You'll get an admission decision. Once that happens, as an international student, if you need to get a student visa to come to the US and study, then we'll go through that process where you'll submit financial documentation. We'll send you your I-20. You'll be able to go and apply for your visa. You'll submit an enrollment deposit. And in a few short months, you'll show up on campus and be ready to go. If you're a graduate student, the process is a little bit different and the timeline is a little bit different. I would say for all of our departments, including Mark's, graduate admissions is what we call decentralized. So instead of my team reviewing your application as an undergraduate student, each department reviews the graduate applications that they receive on their own. If it's an international student, once they decide to admit the student, then they pass the file along to my office, and then my team helps with the student visa documentation and requirements for that. I will also say sometimes the deadlines vary from program to program for graduate. And then also the scholarships and funding vary for graduate programs as well. So if you are interested in a master's or a PhD in any area, specifically in Mark's department, then definitely feel free to reach out to us. Go kind of poke around on the website a little bit. Most of the graduate programs will have those specific details listed out on their website. But if you can't find them, you can always let us know. We can take you right to the source. In terms of undergraduate application timelines, we start accepting applications for the following year in August. So for students who want to start in fall 2025, August 2025, the application opened last month on August 1st. We do rolling admissions. So as soon as you submit your application and all of your documents and we review them, you will get an admission decision, kind of first come, first serve. We do have a few deadlines here on the screen. So if you're interested in those competitive honors college scholarships, we want you to apply by December 15th. That way we can get everything reviewed, get you your IU Indianapolis admission, and it leaves you plenty of time to apply for those honors college scholarships. You have to be admitted to the university and then apply to the honors college scholarships by February 15th. So that December 15th deadline, just make sure you have plenty of room between when we start reviewing your file and when you need to submit everything for the honors college. For the regular merit scholarships that we offer at the time of admission, you have to submit your application by February 15th to be considered for those. And then just our regular application deadline is May 1st. So after May 1st, especially for an international student, if you were trying to apply to come in August, we would probably recommend that you wait and come the following semester in the spring, just because it is going to take some time once you're admitted to collect those documents you need for your visa. Depending on what country you're in, sometimes there's a little bit of a wait time required to get that visa appointment. We want to make sure you have plenty of time to do all those things and prepare so that you can come to campus and be ready to go right at the very beginning of the semester. Typically classes, most students start in the fall. So classes start in August for fall, the fall entry term, but we do admit students starting in spring as well. So the timeline is a little bit different for spring. If you're interested in starting in January, the application deadline is December 1st. Now we don't offer the merit-based scholarships, and I don't believe the honors college scholarships are awarded either for spring entry. So that's one slight difference. If you're interested and need those scholarships, then I would definitely recommend looking at the upcoming fall term. But if you want to start in January, you can certainly apply for a spring entry term, December 1st being the deadline, and then we'll get your application reviewed and admitted for spring. I think that brings me to the end of my portion. So there is an email up on the screen right now, iapply@iu.edu. That goes directly to my team. So our international admissions recruiters check that email often. We are actually all out on the road, traveling, visiting students all around the world this fall, but we will check that email and get back to you if you have any specific questions for us. If you have questions for Mark, you can feel free to reach out to us and we can forward those. Although Mark, I don't know do you have like a general email address, or if students want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah, I forgot to put that on my slide.
That's okay.
Yeah, how would you like me to share that? In the chat? Would it be a comment or a chat,
Um,
or can you type something up for people to look at?
That's a great question. I don't think I can type anything up on the
Okay.
screen.
I was going to say, because if they go to the website, I'm the only person in our school with you as the last name. So
Okay, perfect. So they can
the
find you
directory is
directly
easy.
on the website.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep, that'll work. And like I said, if all else fails, they can send emails to us and then we'll be able to forward those to you if there are things that are specific that we don't necessarily know the answer to. Fantastic.
Perfect.
All right. Well, with that, I think we will go ahead and end the webinar for today. So thank you so much. Anybody who was able to join us live today. Again, if you're watching this recording after the fact, make sure you submit the registration still through StreamYard so we can send you that certificate of participation. And then please feel free to follow us on social media. We will be doing more of these webinars throughout the year. So there's going to be another one coming up in September or in October. This is September. Time flies when you're having fun. We'll have another one coming up in October. So please feel free to follow us on social media. Keep your eyes peeled for those and reach out anytime you have questions. I think sometimes prospective students feel a little bit intimidated by talking to admissions officers or talking to faculty. And we absolutely want to encourage you to reach out. Ask all the questions that you have. That's what we're here for. We really want to make sure that you have all the information you need to really make the best decision for what you're going to do in the future. And we think we have some awesome opportunities for you at IU Indianapolis, and we would love a chance to answer your questions and make sure that you have everything you need to make that decision. So thank you so much. Thank you again, Dr. Urtel. It was really great having you on today.
Thank you.
And with that, I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.